check. So earlier, season four, and it's putting together a list of, if I got some sort of reward that wasn't monetary, but like, hey, guy, I know you signed up for the Bill Clinton Green Party Yellow Submarine when you were four, and you worked your hardest, and you're underwater, and the end of 2001, maybe you said 2002. That's pretty close. That's good enough, and you've been really having on your feet for what, say, 4,300 days or so with no rest or vacation, holding up your whatever over 18 with the best you can, and saving well, how about this, instead of just giving you $1 billion, because all the kids get that for free so they can go out and explore, and they only come back if they're allowed to, and they're only allowed to if they agree that they're coming back to help. The sheer wealth, or to sort of share time with what they've learned from abroad, from the larger planet. They knew well enough to tie their shoes and let's get the heck out of here, as Goofy says in the Mickey Mouse 2014 Potato Land. He says it's melting, and he says they knew how to tie their shoes well enough to run away from an active war situation. When you were 18, everyone was informed during the Bush Jr. possible impeachment UN conference, where Bush Pierce was expressing emotional sexuality, that might be a possible crime, and Bush Jr. was agreeing to step down with world leaders all across, the United Nations and the Allied powers, for a Cold War, an incumbent or a possible end war, right then. And there was all sorts of censored everything, and at the same time, Nameless, Sugary came up, and so hey, about now that it's you haven't done anything too strenuous in over a year. You've been off your feet, doctor's orders, and we understand you have capabilities, and that's where your childhood was with your family, and it was an entertainment for not only for research and scholar and civilian and Greenpeace and scientists, but also a place like a lounge, like Connecticut's Atlantis. Like, you could buy apartments down there, and help keep things regular while the scientists frivolously work on the North Atlantic Space Station, or Connecticut Space Station, New England Space Station, whatever. They had them in the stars. They wanted them underwater too, for the Greenpeace technological, science and nonfiction, in the modern days of the, and it's the here and now, and you've been pouring your heart out. And how about this, you don't want to go alone, with a bunch of, former soldiers you trust, their crew, and they're devoted, to go on what you signed up for when you're, four with grandpa until you were, 11 and used to it, and nobody had any idea, about the Pentagon and the Manhattan Towers. So when you were closer to 12, you think you're not to fall. It's, most, for anything. And if you could put together, we can't just bring you on alone, not even at the smallest submarine down to the locker, and you have to fill the seats. And if you were nominated as something of an honorary, lieutenant, in the passing lieutenant's place, you could go ahead and be a stand-in, and you could pick your two best pals, or your three best buds. They'll be with the crew. They're like your older brothers working hard jobs somewhere else, and we'll see if we can fill up, what's close to the 50 seats. And I said, it's not really all good things in all due time. This is well over 3,600, and supposedly the military may have instated the draft. And although this and that, the head honcho stepped down enough for me to get, elected into the big blue instead of the yellow submarine Greenpeace. Let's get the heck out of here with free money and journey west, or Sweden, I suppose. And so I was putting together all do things, all do passengers. How about an as needed? For the guys that I know, that I've held close to my heart and soul. For whatever sort of aspects, and we're going to be clipping back and forth between that, and a possible, sure, pin patches for, and this, and well, yeah, but just say, scream, Donald Trump, you're last up. You never know who gets elected, yes, and or if he gets another four for anything, then well, we can, and heck, why not just pirate a submarine? We'll take the local militia on and this is, with their blanks and 18 old fashions of the 17, 1600s, a bow and arrow with a loincloth and all sorts of, well, not really this sort of, it's just that you have to stay buckled in and stay in your seats while it goes and dives down to beneath the depths and park, at the top of the locker and journey down the 24 below sea level that they all heard about through, the guy that turned from Tenacious D into Sesame Street, lending children a helping hand on a cable basic television, which was news and surprising. So I'll be flipping back and forth, call it a six, and then explain it as needed, in hopes to make it somewhat of a semi-private sit, knowing about the Homeland Security, Department of Defense, and how I have some privacy, and I don't need to get their consent for names, so we might as well just says you know, I mean, and see if we can make it private after subs at 6:20. Chick.